from our organization called DGI. And first, thank you to Henrik for showing all the statistics. Actually, Henrik, I think there was one very important point from your research that was not on the show here, and I'll get back to that in a minute or two. I actually think that's one of the key points for us in presenting new projects and new concepts for our clubs. Just a short introduction to DGI Lab, which is a new department in DGI. It's a department for projects and for developments, or you could say it's a department for development through projects. And we started in November 2011, and the making of this department is in itself a reaction to trying to compete with the commercial agents in the field of sport for all physical activity. My agenda for the next 14 minutes is I'll start with a short introduction to our organization, DGI, and then I'll give an introduction to our response to the silent revolution, and after that I'll come to some examples. Of course, we could have shown a lot of more examples than the ones here, but we tried to make as Morten was saying, I'm saying a little bit about these examples, and I could also talk about soccer, football, and many other things, but these are the examples I'll go through, and then I'll come to my conclusions in the end. These are the main data of DGI. We have 1.5 million members, and actually the numbers of members are rising, even though the competition from the commercial agents are growing, as we've seen. We've got 5,100 clubs, and also this number is rising. We have a huge numbers of volunteers, and these are very important, and all our clubs are saying that recruiting volunteers is the main focus for them. That's the biggest issue, the biggest problem. And we have at the moment more than 150 projects running all over the country, small projects, big projects, all projects trying to find new ways, trying to find a way to attract new target groups. DGI is geographically divided in 15 regions, meaning that we have 15 centers throughout Denmark. Denmark is a small country, but we have these 15 regions. That means that we're very close to all the clubs and all the people in Denmark who want to participate in physical activities. Early on, DGI were focusing mainly on the clubs. We didn't really realize that many people needed to do sports outside the clubs as well. And now, Henrik, we come to the point, because you made a research 2 or 3 years ago saying that the adults doing sports in Denmark, on the average, take part in 3 sports, or 3 types of physical activities. Not necessarily every week, but over time. They recognize themselves as active participants in 3 sports. That means that they can play badminton in a club, they can go to a fitness center, buy a card to be in the fitness center, and they can run in the forests. And this is very important, because then we should no longer talk about participants as either club members or commercial sports participants or self-organized participants. The point is that the adults participate in all 3 kinds of activities. So we have both club members and commercial center buyers and self-organized participants. And therefore, we have chosen a strategy where the first aim is to get as many people active in sports or physical activity. And when we've done that, we try to compete to attract as many as 6 people being part or members of our clubs, and then convince them to give us a hand by being volunteers. And that leads to our strategy saying that we want to work for more active citizens in Denmark, more members in our clubs, and more volunteers in our clubs. And that's the strategy for our organization at the moment. Of course, it's important to stress or underline that the clubs are still our main business, our core business. We want to have as many members of the clubs as possible. But it's important to say also that we do a lot of activities trying to make people take part in physical activity, not necessarily in the club. Yes, and these are the challenges from the silent revolution. I'm not going to do that. We have heard a lot about that already. Our strategy is to try to create opportunities for clubs and volunteers to reorganize, rethink, and revitalize the concept of being a member of a club. The basis is that we need to make it very easy for the volunteers. We need to present to them some concepts with the right activities, a possibility to communicate to the surroundings, and new ideas of how they should run their clubs. About the activities, of course, the keywords are fitness, health, and flexibility, and not all clubs have realized that at the moment. But these are the keywords for all the activities that we need to present. We need to realize that people, they're not just doing sports or play soccer for fun, for competition. We also need to have the perspective of fitness and health. That's a huge driver of motivation. Then we have this contradiction about the flexibility and the need for everybody to put physical activity into their own calendar. Because at the same time, we also want to do physical activities with others. We just want to choose the others ourselves. And we want to choose the time ourselves. Many runners and fitness participants choose their activities because they are totally flexible. But many find a friend or a training partner, and this is very important if we want to keep running or keep doing fitness. Community is a key factor when it comes to continuing, and that's important. So flexibility is a need, but we still, when we have the flexibility, want to find some others to do sports with. Then there's the frame. Upgraded facilities is a need. I won't comment a lot on that now, but that's a huge issue in itself, and communication as well. We need to help the clubs communicate because the commercial agents, they are very good at these points. They have flashing facilities, they are very good on the internet. We need to help our clubs to present themselves better there. So this is our strategy towards the silent revolution. And now to some of the examples. The first one is called Sport2Go, which is basically a concept where young people can sign up or out for clubs using vouchers or clips. They can come and go in the clubs as they like. It's been working now for 2 years in the city of Aalborg, and the target group is young people between 12 and 25 years. And as we've heard, it's a target group who wants to pick their own choices. Here we have involved both clubs and commercial centers, and the youngsters are free to choose. They can do fitness as often as they want. They can also only just try it once, and then the next week try something else. Focus is on presenting many different activities for the young people to give them many opportunities without forcing them to be a member of just one club. They have the freedom to search, try out, and to serve the clubs and the commercial centers to be physical active. The concept is very cheap for the young people, and that's been made possible through funding. This is a very flexible concept, and it's a success in Aalborg, and now we're trying to put it out in other Danish cities as well. And the baseline for the young people are, you pick your choices, you can try out on different sports, and you can do it with others. The point is, they're free to choose, but at the same time, they're not totally free. There is a frame, and that's very important. Some other people to do sports with. And we all know that futsal or badminton is not so funny doing alone. So the frame is important, and that they can actually find somebody else to do it with within this Sport2Go concept. We believe this could be one of the answers to the challenges from the commercial agents and for this specific target group of young people. Then we have another example called running with the DJI, and as we've seen before, there's a lot of Danes running a lot of adults Danes runs. 25% of the adults are running, and a lot of people take part in races every year. At the same time, we haven't seen a lot of growth in the Danish athletic clubs. So therefore, we have tried to make a concept targeting the beginning runners. And we try to take the beginners by their hand and help them start out running. And the key question in the beginning is, why are we running? It's not, at least in the first place, to become world champion or to make a marathon. The aim could be, in the first place, just to be able to run, as Henrik was saying. Therefore, it's important to start walking. And after that, you can walk for a minute, you can run for a minute, and so on. And actually, we have seen that our athletic clubs, they didn't have this patience that it takes to help a beginner starter. But therefore, we made this concept trying to educate trainers skills to help the beginners to start running. And after that, the clubs have a concept where they can attract beginners by running once a week in the club and then 2 or 3 times alone after a schedule. And this concept actually has shown that this very patient approach makes it possible for almost everybody to become a runner. We see many clubs which before had no athletic department, they started up running DGI, and they've had a big growth in their memberships. One way you can say that running is very simple. You put one foot after the other and then you run. At the same time, it's rather complex because you're on your own, you can do it whatever you want to, in the woods, on the streets, wherever you want. But at the same time, it's good to have somebody to run with. It's good to have somebody to help you to stick to your training plan, someone who can present some knowledge to you about shoes, about running, outfit, and so on. Furthermore, running is very honest. The one with the strongest or the best legs is the fastest one. But nowadays, a lot of technical support is provided. GPS, calls, music, shiny shoes, and tracking on internet. And a lot of knowledge on training programs are developed too. Therefore, running is not just running on your own. You are part of something bigger when you run. It's a lifestyle. Running with DGI made it possible for the Danish clubs to take part of this lifestyle thing, and especially helping the beginners on the tracks. As a supplement, we have presented a website called sportspuls.dk, where you can have knowledge, you can have training programs, route planners, and a quick overview of all the events available. And this website is not just for club runners, this is for all beginners. And then we're hoping that we can have as many people out there running, and after that we'll try to convince as many of them as possible to be part of our a member of our clubs. Another example is fitness, club-based fitness, which we've already heard a little bit about. We, with the DIF and DGI together, we give advice, we give possible loans, education, and in this way, voluntary-based fitness is possible to compete with the commercial centers. And it's very interesting to see in the future if 2 or 3 sporting organizations who have traditionally seen each other as opponents, if we could go together to fight the commercial agents together. Could have been soccer. We saw an example from Morten before. We also have a soccer concept trying to reach the same target group. We'll see in the future. And now for the technical area, we have made an IT system for the clubs, can prevent a lot of good stuff, payment, membership, calendar, economy, booking, and so on. It's very cheap, it's very easy to use. We support it, we educate the leaders of the clubs to use this, and in this way they can present all their possibilities on internet, and some of the very boring